A person collapses on a crowded sidewalk. Counterintuitively, decades of research show they're statistically less likely to receive help. The more people are around to witness it happen, a pattern known as the bystander effect, worth examining from 4 separate angles, because a single explanation never quite captures the whole mechanism. The diffusion angle. When multiple people witness an emergency simultaneously, responsibility to act psychologically diffuses across the group. Each individual bystander implicitly reasons, often without fully realizing it, that someone else in the crowd is equally or better positioned to help, which quietly reduces their own felt sense of personal obligation. In a crowd of one, that diffusion doesn't exist. The entire responsibility sits with a single person, which reliably produces faster individual action. The ambiguity angle. Many emergencies aren't immediately, unambiguously clear as emergencies. A person on the ground could be having a medical crisis, or could be intoxicated or resting. In these ambiguous moments, people look to others' reactions to help interpret the situation. And if everyone else in the crowd is also uncertain and therefore not reacting, that collective inaction gets misread as a signal that the situation must not actually be serious, even though every individual is privately just as uncertain as everyone else. The evaluation angle. Bystanders in a group setting also experience a specific social fear, the risk of misreading the situation and acting unnecessarily in front of witnesses, appearing overreactive or foolish. This fear of public misjudgment is considerably weaker when no one else is present to witness a potential overreaction, which is part of why solo bystanders intervene more readily than those in groups. The competence angle. In a crowd, individuals frequently assume someone else present has more relevant skill or authority to handle the situation. Medical training, closer proximity, more perceived confidence even with no actual evidence supporting that assumption. This diffusion of assumed competence compounds the diffusion of responsibility, producing a second, independent layer of hesitation. Put these 4 angles together, and the bystander effect stops looking like evidence of collective callousness or moral failure, which is how it's often popularly framed, and starts looking like the predictable output of several separate, individually reasonable psychological processes operating simultaneously in every witness at once. No single bystander is behaving irrationally in isolation. The group dynamic itself is what produces the paralysis, layered from 4 directions at once. What this reveals about human nature isn't that people are indifferent to others suffering. The research doesn't support that grim reading at all. It reveals that helping behavior is far more situationally dependent than most people assume about themselves, and that moral character alone doesn't reliably override these social mechanisms without deliberate counteraction. The single most effective, well-documented countermeasure, worth knowing specifically because it's actionable in the moment. As a bystander, directly assign responsibility rather than hoping someone acts, pointing at one specific individual and saying "you, call emergency services," breaks the diffusion of responsibility instantly, converting an ambiguous group of witnesses into one person with an explicit, unambiguous task. This same principle extends usefully beyond physical emergencies into everyday group settings that carry echoes of the same mechanism. In a workplace meeting, a vague request like "someone should follow up on this" reliably produces less action than a specific "can you follow up on this by Friday?" aimed at one named person. The identical diffusion of responsibility dynamic operating at much lower stakes, but through the same underlying mechanism. Understanding the bystander effect isn't just useful for recognizing a rare emergency scenario. It's a genuinely practical lens for noticing why vague, Group-directed requests of any kind tend to quietly go unfulfilled far more often than specific, individually assigned ones.